maybe we could start here. So this was one of the furthest ones back. The bitch boys quote. So this would have been the one that came out like last Friday, I think it was, which was an interesting one. I mean, maybe we shouldn't go back this far, but I think it's still pertinent to go look at it because of the message that he's trying to send because of prices being down. And I really find it encouraging, honestly, when I'm talked to, like, if you're ever feeling down or shitty about your own predicament and you're blaming everybody else and not looking at the mirror, owning any of it, you usually need somebody to help slap you in the face, whether in the form of a friend or maybe you just actually need the shit to be kicked out of you. I don't really know. But I'm pretty sure I sent you this one. There you go.
I was just sorting through them. I couldn't find
there's a lot. So I might skim, but here he goes. He says, Pulse Chain is awesome, works great. Pulse X works great. Hex works great. Wonderful technology. So how specifically does that affect the price? Well, Pulse and Pulse X both have lower supplies now than when they launched because of burning. Supply and demand is king. Reduction of supply is good for the price. But what is the primary mechanism by which the price moves? Buyers and sellers. Price up. That's because more people buying, price down, more people selling. It's not useful to pretend that the quality of the tech or its founders somehow magically changes prices. To the point about Chia that we talked about a little bit earlier, I think. It is obviously buyers and sellers that are in charge of the price. You'd have to be really stupid or pitiful or misguided or some combination of the three to try to blame price on something other than buyers and sellers. I guess when people are butthurt, they lash out, even at their own team, even if it makes no sense. They can't control the price, so they try to do something they can control, cry publicly. Nothing is more manly than crying in public like a bitch, which I thought was funny. Nothing makes you more powerful than blaming everything on everyone else but yourself. Pro tip, when you take responsibility for your actions, you give yourself the gift of being able to make changes that can improve your life. Probably the frame quote out of this entire post. Anyway, nearly everything in crypto is wrecked price-wise. That's what we just talked about. If you're reading this, you probably wrecked price-wise as well. Ethereum is 2,400 right now. It was 5K years and years ago. Do you hear me crying like a bitch at Vitalik? He has literally begged in a post before about wanting Ethereum to send out postcards or something. But I understand he's not on here every single day talking about it. TLDR, everyone's wrecked, as we've seen many times before. If you've been in crypto for a while, if you shut the fuck up and keep working, yes, actually working, you've got lots of potential to make amazing things happen. But crying like a bitch doesn't get the work done. Working does get to work. The tech is far better than it's ever been. So obviously, there's a lot of people who, are already kind of stuck in this mentality that took umbrage with this, pissed them off, felt like they were gaslighted, that Richard owes them all this stuff and everything. I get it. I mean, if there's people that feel that way, then I would say that like continuing in this course probably isn't the best for you. And maybe there's something else that you need to do. And you can be frustrated with this man. You don't have to worship Richard Hart. And I'll say right here that I don't. I mean, I'm not somebody that like anything he says, I totally agree with. I mean, literally right there, he says that you don't see me begging Vitalik anything. There's literally a quote with him using the word beg for Ethereum to do certain kinds of advertising. So be that as it may, I don't think he's on here as often doing that as the people that he is talking about now. So I will say that. But hey, nothing has ever helped me more when I am being a bitch boy. I almost named myself Bitch Boy Crypto tonight. Than getting some kind of a slap in the face. And you need a pep talk and to get out of your own head. So I get where he's coming from. I understand people being mad about this. And if you don't want to be in the ecosystem, I would urge you to not be in the ecosystem. But yeah, what did you make of this post?
I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, my favorite part was nothing makes you more powerful than blaming everybody or blaming everything on everyone else but yourself. You see a lot of that. You see a lot of emotional people on X. I've muted most of it. Like I'm not one to get on here and just see negativity from everybody. And it definitely helps me mentally get through the hard times when I'm seeing positive people, whether it's just bringing up good things or not being negative. I don't care if it's a neutral, as long as it's not negative. I mean, I don't really care what I see, but it helps me make it through. You're totally right. He has mentioned that Vitalik needs to get out and market it, in his postcard rant, I believe it was. He brought that up and said, you guys need to do something. The price is down, but it wasn't begging. It wasn't, maybe he did beg. I don't know. But I didn't see it that way. But there are people on here every day crying about things. And, I think I responded to this somewhere that said, hey, if you think he's talking about you, he probably is. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard's truth hurts sometimes, and it's tough love for a lot of people. And we saw that more today when he was talking about starting to block people, and then you see Motley Investor got blocked today, which
I saw that. Yeah,
there are lines that people cross all the time when they're not really calling him out, but they're second guess what he's doing. And it's his choice whether he wants to hear that and see that all the time or not. So just like anybody else, it's your right to block or mute or modify your page how you want it. And if you don't want people commenting on your stuff, you don't have to see it. So yeah. It is freedom of speech, just like they have the right to bitch about things. He has the right to shut them down. So, it is what it is.
And like I said, my favorite part is right after what you said. When you take responsibility for your actions, you give yourself the gift of being able to make changes that can improve your life. I mean, if there's anything I'm guilty of, I think it's sometimes blaming myself for too much shit, like trying to take too much ownership, which obviously that either direction can be bad. But he couldn't be more right about that. If you the more, I remember Jocko Willink used to always talk about radical ownership, like which again maybe you can go too far with that, but like the more things that you try to own and think about, all right, I'm pissed off that this person did this, I know they shouldn't have acted that way, but if I can examine like what could I have done at all to try to prevent that, maybe I could have said this a little bit better, maybe I could have communicated this a little bit better. And maybe you can't 100% control another person, but if you just examine what you can do better, you can't really go wrong because at least you are improving no matter what. If you're dealing with a fuckhead, you're dealing with a fuckhead. There might just not be a lot that you can do. But
right.
If you're always looking to improve yourself, how are you going wrong with that? So I couldn't agree with that more. I enjoyed that sentiment. So,
well, another thing that I tell my daughter this all the time is when I see her that she's upset about something or whatever, I ask her, can you control it? Is there anything you can do about it? And if the answer is no, then, as hard as it may be to not be upset or not lash out or whatever, you've got to let it go because you can't change it. There's nothing you can do about it. You got to not let that eat at yourself or your soul because, it wears on you. And then you start to worry about a bunch of things you can't control and it snowballs on you. So yeah, very similar situation.
And then, you can distract your brain by when you figure out what it is you can do and what you can control, start working on that radically as much as you can. And then, when you're doing that, you start to feel good and you start to see changes taking place. So
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So I think a great post overall, but the typical people that are going to be in there still blaming him, as you could see when you scroll down in the comments, were there. So that's just kind of what happens. A good transition. You don't have to do. There's you. See, there's Ewok in there bitching about Richard, you fucker. What? Oh, okay, I was wrong. All right. Good stuff from you. Who'd you mute there? Me.
Yeah, it was probably you.
Okay. All right. We don't have to do this. Okay. The NHL. So